shared screen. Right. So Excellence Foundation for South Sudan is a non-profit organization, of course, a local organization here in South Sudan. It aims to promote education and socio-economic development, focusing on education, leadership development, and community building initiatives. And it is really formed by a group of educated, dynamic youth, and it has been registered legally in the country since September 2021. And just for the purpose of knowledge, Mr. Bida is our program manager, who is also actually volunteering. The vision for this national organization is to have or create a community that lives with a quality and sustainable life. That is the vision for EFSS. The mission statement is to inspire people and mobilize resources to strengthen our community. Importantly is the programs that EFSS runs. So many of them, as you see here: media and information literacy, what Bida talked about, especially our sessions on ICT, livelihood development and rehabilitation, of course, youth people being implemented by EFSS. Now, since their registration in 2021 until December last year, you can see that a lot of things have been achieved by these youth, vibrant youth. 11 schools have been reached both in Juba and Yei counties through the prefectural board membership and Juba schools mini competition. Some 16 teachers have also been mentored. 666 pupils and students have been reached, and then 385 attendees of these bi-weekly mass of interest that could really impact their lives. Also, there has been a piloting of the South Sudan National Spelling Bee, and there is an ongoing collaboration with the Wikimania in South Sudan. Just a pictorial of some of those achievements. Right there, you see students in one of the activities implemented by EFSS, and these are about 9 schools, both in Juba and Yei, that have been reached by some of these activities September 2021 until December 2022. Regarding projects that are ongoing in this year, 2023, EFSS requires a budget of 1,400,000 SSP. In the current rates, that's about $1,400 US to run the following activities. For example, reskilling and upskilling South Sudanese youth for success in the 21st century. The estimation of the budget is about 350,000. Empowering the future through career guidance and prefects board mentorship. That is for schools, estimated at around 350,000. Juba schools mini competition, about almost 700,000. Girls Voices essay competition. The budget, I think this one missed, it will be added. And the long-term goals of this EFSS organization really is to scale up the South Sudan National Spelling Bee outside of Juba. Currently, there is an ongoing preparation for this to happen this year again, but within Juba. We hope with a stronger support and more resources, we will be able to extend this outside of Juba. Developing a volunteer base, yes, all of us in EFSS are volunteers, from the chairperson of the board to all the board members to all the executive members, we are volunteers. So that is one way we are developing a base of volunteers. Even the people who present these bi-weekly sessions as well are volunteers. Developing a financial sustainability plan. We hope we will be able to achieve this soon, as we have some strategies that we are putting in place to work on sustainability financially. So what are some of the ways we think you members in this call could support this vibrant organization? You can volunteer in any form, whether to support the debates that are being organized, the mini schools competition, or to even present on such a weekend, something you believe you are so expert in and can benefit the community, or volunteer in any other form that can help us spread the news of the good work that EFSS is doing. You could as well donate to us if you have some amount of money or in-kind things you want to donate to the organization to support in the progress of activities. You can also spread awareness. This is a very good way to contribute to us. Let people who can support our programs know about us through you. And of course, we will hope that we create some partnership through that. Fundraising events or initiatives can be organized. You can organize one if you have an activity and you talk about EFSS, maybe a few people can do that. But even us, we plan to host charity events through which we hope to raise some funds. And of course, advocacy remains one very important way you can support the organization by engaging your friends, your partners, and people you work with or other organizations that might be of interest to support youth. In case you want to support by cash, these are the bank details for SSP and for United States dollars. In case you are sending by electronic money systems at the comfort of your place, these are the mGrush and MTN Momo numbers with the registered names of Emmanuel Bida. And trust me, all your contributions will be very safe. We can be contacted through our website, through so these are some of the activities, including the spellingbees.org. These are some of the partnerships we have, and they are all on our websites. Bida, I would like to stop there. This was just for, oh, some people are complaining they can't hear me. I'll improve. So this was just for knowledge purposes so that people know what EFSS is about and be able to support where they can. Bida, unless there's something in the chat box that I should respond to, let me go straight to our presentation. Is there anything, Bida?
Not really. Kindly proceed.
Thank you. Right, so about that brief on EFSS, whoever wants to make a comment later can put it in the chat box or contact me or Bida. Yeah, and then we can discuss further. Right, let's move to our presentation. Okay, so today we will discuss personal well-being. Particularly, the interest is on giving you tips on how to live healthy. And then tomorrow we will tackle trauma, stress, and avoiding social harm, as Bida already had introduced earlier. So let's get started. I'd like to begin by saying that the information you will hear or get from this session is not meant to make you a prescriber or somebody who now starts to tell people about sicknesses and so on. This is just for health awareness purposes, and audience are not encouraged to use these for making their own self-diagnosis. Who is in this call? So Bida mentioned about us asking you to register. 82 of you are registered for this session this weekend, and a few demographic characteristics, about 65 of them male, 17 were female. I don't know how many of you male and female are in the call right now, but we hope others will join. 69 of the 82 said they were within South Sudan, 13 of them are outside of South Sudan, including in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and even Egypt and Sudan. So I think Bida, as EFSS, we are probably reaching out to the world there. How you got to know about this session? Many of you got through emails, probably people who have attended such sessions previously, but look, a greater number, about 38 of you said they got this from Facebook. I think our Facebook page is also gaining momentum, that's good. WhatsApp, we have the WhatsApp group, so these are probably people in there, and then Twitter, website, and then friend information were other ways you heard about this training. Occupation-wise, very varied characteristics, beginning from students to those who say they are freelancers, to people who are employed and professionals and so on. So it's a good thing to have such a variety of people really in this session. I believe our interactions will be very helpful. And of course, those who are also my colleagues in the medical practice, I will welcome you always to make supplements in the presentation. I mean, I do not own the knowledge all in this world, right? So welcome on board again. Okay, Bida, do you want to give us the poll right now? Would like to begin by checking your knowledge on well-being.
Okay.
So please, Bida will put the poll and it will appear on your screen. Just follow the questions and answer, and then we see what answers we get. We'll give that about 5 minutes, Bida.
Are you seeing it already?
I am.
Okay, good.
Yes.
You can just
So
make a
everybody,
brief comments to help them understand.
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Now, I'm saying maybe you can say something briefly about this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there are about 4 questions there really that I would like you to respond to. It's ticking all the options that you believe apply. So just answer them, and it's not, of course, for any punitive or award issue, just to understand how much you people know regarding well-being. So please welcome. Start responding if you see the poll on your screen. There are 22 participants online, so 21 excluding me, and nobody has so far attempted the poll. Other participants, do you see the poll questions on your screens? For example, Emmanuel, do you see the poll questions?
Yes, doctor.
All right. Okay, go ahead, please, and respond. %18 have participated. %27 have participated. That's good. That is 6% participation. Very good.
Doctor, I've joined you late. I'm sorry.
Welcome. Never mind.
Yes,
do you see the poll questions on your screen?
I've already submitted mine.
Thank you.
Welcome.
We have not basically started the session yet, so you're welcome. 59% participated. Thank you. I see 65%, 69% participation. Looks good. We have about a minute more. Any more people want to participate? Okay. 73%. We have about 40 seconds. %75% participation. That's good.
Once it's done, you can just let me know so that I can, or you can even end the poll from your end. So you can do that actually.
Yeah, sure. The option appears on my screen.
Perfect.
10 seconds. Anybody wants to submit their answers? Okay, so poll has ended. 18 out of 24 participants have submitted their answers. That's 75%. I hope everybody still sees the questions. I just want to go through the answers. Question 1 is asking what well-being is according to you. If you selected the answer 4, number 4, the last one, a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and so on, that was not a correct answer, because that is a definition for health, and health encompasses well-being. So well-being is a subset of health. So the rest, the first, second, and third answers were all correct, but the third one is particularly a definition for health, which is a broader understanding of really being well. So well-being is a subset of health, good health to say. What are some forms of well-being you know? You are supposed to tick all that are correct. If you selected political well-being, and I see 7 out of 18 people selected political well-being, that's not correct. Political well-being is not part of really being, well-being, right? So we have physical well-being, emotional, environmental, social, and cultural, among others, as we shall see in the presentation. What are some ways you can maintain your well-being? If you selected, for example, turning off electrical appliances while in the room, that's 2 out of 18 participants who selected that. That was not particularly correct. In environmental well-being, as we shall see, the tip is do not leave electrical appliances on, especially as you leave the place. It might be hot. You don't want to put the fan off, right? Especially in Juba. So you can't really be turning all appliances off while you're in the room. However, exercising regularly, eating balanced diet, and investing income in income generating activities are all other components of well-being. Last question, the following are medical tests to be performed for wellness checkups. So all the rest are correct, except 50% of you who selected pregnancy test. Yes, women of reproductive age could become pregnant, but we do not really do that test for wellness sake. We do not go to a health, women do not go to a health facility to check for pregnancy to really know whether they are well or unwell. So the rest are correct: cervical cancer screening, cancer markers, vital signs, and sugar levels. So thank you all for participating, 18 of you. Let's get started in the presentation. All right. So this looks like our outline today. We will give you a bit of understanding of what general well-being is, and then we will look at the different forms of well-being. As you see here, there's no political well-being, and so that was not a correct answer. And at the end of discussing all these different forms of well-being, we will look at briefly what we mean by wellness package. How do you, or what do you do to ensure that you are really well before you can say you really got your well-being, okay? Somebody in 1986 said this statement that health is created and lived by people within the settings of their everyday life, where they learn, work, play, and love. So health basically follows us wherever we are and whenever we are. So everyday life, wherever you are, you've walked out of your room, you're in your room, whatever you're doing, right now you're attending a call or rather a training session, something can happen that can really affect your health. So you have to create and live it in your everyday settings, everyday life settings, okay? There's no single definition, unfortunately, for well-being, but certain concepts have been put forth. For example, that the concept of well-being reflects that many populations, particularly those in high-income countries, are moving up what we know as the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, so Maslow's a very renowned psychologist, one time came up in 1954 with this hierarchy of needs. These are individual needs, and according to this hierarchy, everybody begins with the most basic of needs, which are called the physiological needs. These are needs the body needs to function. Okay, for the body to function well, these needs must be provided or must be in place. Things like air, the oxygen we take in, is one very basic need that we don't often think about. But without it, we can't really be alive. Water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction, all these make the base of the pyramid or the hierarchy of needs according to Maslow. And then once an individual achieves these needs, the body is now functioning very well. Then the next concern will be safety. Am I safe? Okay. And here people are thinking about their security. Are they, I mean, physical security as in security against harm, but also employment security, resources, health security. If I fall sick, where do I get health care? You know, is my property safe, for example? Or if I take a walk, somebody takes away my property. So safety becomes the next level of needs to ensure well-being. And once these two are met, somebody now begins to think of a little higher needs like love and belonging. And once they achieve those, then now they go to esteem, which is mostly about, you know, respect. They want to be respected in the community. They feel, you know, nobody should put down their image in any way, self-esteem, their status. They should be recognized everywhere they have reached. People should stand up and greet them, for example. You know, they feel they have strength to influence a lot of things around themselves. And lastly, self-actualization now, you know, the desire to become the most that you can be. According to Maslow, all these are needs that, when achieved one at a time, improves somebody's well-being, beginning with the most basic physiological needs. So you will understand again from the definition that well-being is an everyday life setting event or something. You begin to wonder whether you have reached somewhere in this hierarchy so that you can now be sure your well-being is assured, right? So that is a concept on understanding well-being based on bodily needs. The other concept, again, is that well-being is a composite measure of how good an individual feels at the physical, mental, and social levels. Okay, physically, do you feel fine? Today you woke up, do you have any pain anywhere? How about mentally? Are you stressed? Are you worried of something? Are you thinking too much about some things? Socially, do you have people around you, whether family or friends, that you can go to and you laugh a little bit? So it could be a measure of all these individual feelings around these levels of interactions. The subjective state of being healthy, happy, contented, comfortable, and satisfied with one's life. Somebody also defined well-being as such. So very subjective as it is put. It varies from one person to another. I can claim to be, I'm well. I can say I'm well, and I can say my well-being is all right. Okay, but it is subjective. It is how I feel. It is what I say to you. You cannot really say much about it. How healthy, happy, and contented I am, I can only tell you that. However, the WHO has defined health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Like I said earlier in the poll questions, well-being is a subset of general health. For you to say you are in good health, all these things, physically, mentally, socially, you should be really well. Not just the absence of a malaria or maybe a typhoid or something, which is the absence of disease in this case. So WHO defines health as such. It is a bit broader and includes well-being. Okay. Furthermore, concepts is that well-being has been defined as the combination of feeling good and functioning well. Okay. So when you experience positive emotions such as happiness, contentment, as well as the development of your potentials, you feel happy, you feel good. And then you say, I'm well. They say, hi, how are you? I'm well. Instead of saying I'm good, you just say I'm well, right? And of course, having control over your life, having a sense of purpose, and experiencing positive relationships are all included ingredients in well-being. So that is what we say is well-being. Now, we looked at the different forms of well-being, and we will start to understand one after the other, beginning with the physical well-being. Physical means your body as it is, as somebody sees it, all right? Being aware of your body and what it needs to remain fit and healthy throughout your life is basically what you will consider your physical well-being. To remain fit and healthy, one thing, of course, is we need to eat, right? We need food. Perhaps we also need to dress. We need a clothing, maybe, so that you're also looking physically okay. All these are basic, small aspects of, that contribute to your physical well-being. And somebody else can see that, oh, somebody is looking physically well, right? So you do that, you take care of your physical well-being so that you can carry about your daily activities as well as possible, as much as possible. You maintain your physical well-being. Because if you don't, then it will now affect the mental health and the mental well-being, which will be another issue, as we shall see in slides ahead. Okay, so physical well-being, like I mentioned, will include paying attention to your diet, what you eat. Some people will tell you that I can tell what you eat by how you look, right? So your physical appearance is being related to what you eat. I don't know how that works, but it's a psychological, it's a psychology kind of concept. So it includes diet, physical activity levels. All these can impact on your physical well-being and appearance. Okay, of course, when you monitor stress levels and the way one uses alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, all these can influence one's physical well-being. For example, we know that mostly in the villages, people who abuse alcohol, physically, you can tell that they don't really look healthy. So even if they say they are physically well, it is not fitting in this definition of our today's session. So how can one maintain physical well-being? It has been proven that regular exercising, okay, physical exercising, about 30 minutes a day, every day, or at least 3 days in a week where you do 1 hour per day, will be really helpful to maintaining your physical well-being. So I know it's a very difficult thing for people to maintain that routine, but when you look at sportsmen and women who really take care of their physical well-being, every day they are exercising, every day they are practicing and so on, you really rarely will see them out of shape, okay? So that is one big tip, that if you want to maintain your physical well-being, regular physical activity is required. Of course, some of us do desk-based work. We can work hours over hours. It's not so healthy. We need to get up once in a while, stretch around, move, come back, and then you sit again and continue to do your work. All these help you with stretching the muscles, letting the bones move about their joints a little bit. Plan and prepare healthy foods. We shall look at a little more on the foods, because I remember about a year ago when this session was presented, a few questions came around there. We'll have a look at the foods. Be aware of your alcohol consumption and aim to stay below the maximum recommended number. I have another 3-pager that will detail these 2 bullets. I'll share along with the slides later. People can still read for themselves more about that. Of course, out of all things, substances that people take or use, smoking has been one of the most dangerous ever known. Smoking is the #1 biggest contributor to lung cancer. We know that, hopefully. And of course, lung cancer is one very big killer in the world, currently. So one would want to consider quitting smoking and really improve their physical well-being as well. All right, now let's look a little bit more on what a healthy diet would look like. When you talk of diet, you're talking of macronutrients and micro. So macro, bigger nutrients, micro, really smaller ones. this is a bit abstract for people who might not have a science background or a medical background as such, but think of macronutrients as the three main things: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Fats are also sometimes called lipids. I believe we all went through these at least in primary 5, 6 science, okay? So those three main components of food are what we call macronutrients. However, if we don't take them in the appropriate amounts that the body needs, if we take them over the amount needed, then they become excess, and therefore the body makes them into storage forms, and the storage forms appear on our body as fats, you know. So that is the problem of eating excess of these three macronutrients. So to have a healthy diet, these macronutrients have to be taken in their appropriate amounts that meet the body needs, while also you provide for sufficient micronutrients or minerals. Think of them as things like the vitamins you might have heard, and you might know vitamin A, vitamin C. There's a lot of vitamin B group, okay? So all those vitamins, zinc, iron, copper, potassiums, and a lot of other minerals. These are the micronutrients. Again, all these have to be in sufficient amounts before we now say, oh, somebody's having a healthy diet. And apart from these three things, the macronutrients, micronutrients, and water becomes another important thing. Hydration here simply refers to really taking a lot of water, okay? Not so much, but if you have good working kidneys, there's nothing like a lot of water really, because every water you take in, the body will pass it out. That is if the body is functioning well. So it's not really bad to take as much water as you feel like taking, as compared to taking less than the body needs, okay? It is worse if you take less water than the body needs. So to have a healthy diet, have appropriate amounts of the macronutrients, sufficient amount of the micronutrients, and hydrate yourself. Take plenty of water. That would make up a healthy diet. There is a study that I came across called the DASH study. DASH means dietary approaches to stop hypertension. Hypertension is high blood pressure. And I remember in some of these training series, I will also talk about that one day. So a study was conducted to determine what dietary approaches could help reduce high blood pressure or actually stop it. So in that DASH diet, they later discovered what they call a healthy or a heart-friendly diet, which should look like what? Should be low in fat and rich in fruits, vegetables, and low-fat dairy. So if you eat a diet that is low in fats or in lipids, but is rich in fruits, vegetables, and a little bit of dairy fat, so dairy fat comes from milk, okay, for example, this will result in lower blood pressures compared to what is considered the standard Western diet. The standard Western diet, especially in America, is seen to have low fruit and vegetables and high fat and sodium. Sodium is mostly from salt. So there was that study that compared the most common diet in the West, especially in America, with this one. And they realized that people who eat a little fat with more fruits and vegetables tend to have less heart problems than those who eat a lot of salt, a lot of fats, and little fruit and vegetables. So these are some scientific findings regarding diets. Now, to add a little more flesh to the nutrients, the four main things, carbohydrate, proteins, fats, and micronutrients, we have their functions in the body. Carbohydrates, of course, are the #1 source of energy for the whole body. So if you take tea now with the sugar or with the honey, there's a lot of, that is basically carbohydrates. And so this carbohydrate sugar goes mostly direct into body use. So it is what gives you now the energy to get up and go around doing your work. Primary source of energy is the carbohydrates. One common source is grains. So grains would be sorghum, maize, millet, barley, or rice. All these are grains. Whole grains, these are natural grains from the garden, not gone through factory processing, are considered the best. in terms of sources of carbohydrates. They contain a lot of fiber. They also contain a few of these minerals that we talk about. So they are the best in terms of the source of energy. They have not gone through processing. However, fruits, root tubers like sweet potatoes, cassava, and others like that are also very good sources of carbohydrates. So it now depends on what you think you want to eat if you want a lot more carbohydrates. Proteins, on the other hand, basically are bodybuilding nutrients. They help the body to build muscle, okay, and repair skin and other tissues that may have been injured. It is the proteins that help with that kind of repair and building. We get proteins from animal products like meat, fish, dairy, eggs. All these have a lot of proteins, and they are actually the best proteins compared to the plant proteins, which are soya, nuts, grains, and legumes. So the animal proteins tend to be better broken down and faster because they have already gone through other processing also compared to the plant proteins. Fats, on the other hand, the most common use in the body is that they make up the cell structure. And the most common part of the cell is the outside covering, which is made of fat. And so they become really important also to have some fat in the body so that your cells are intact. However, inside the cell, they also become a very important source of energy for the cells to function. Okay. Now, for fats, there are things we call good fats and the bad fats. The good ones tend to come from fish and most of the plant-derived oils, like sesame oil, like olive oil, peanut oil. All these are good fat sources. So the fat we get from them are considered good for the body. And then there are those bad fats, mostly coming from animal products. Of course, many people do eat pork, for example. It does have a lot of fat, and most of the fat from animal products is not really good fat. And some plant-derived oils, of course, also like, for example, this Zembiro, if you are from Western Equatoria or you have been to Western Equatoria, there's this palm oil. They call it locally Zembiro. Is one of the examples of fat from from plants that is not really very, very good. Okay. Then micronutrients, the function mostly is helping in growth, normal growth, body function, and also maintaining the cell integrity. So the many micronutrients we talked about there, magnesium, sodium, zinc, and all those things, they help the body to function well and maintain the cells in good shape, but also they help with the normal growth. You may have seen when people get attacked by viruses, including COVID, most common advice and recommendation was take a lot of maybe lemon juice or things like that, which contain a lot of vitamin C, of course. So a lot of the vitamins help with the body function and also cell integrity. Micronutrients come from many, many sources. Most of the whole fruits and foods. Again, these are natural foods or fruits that have not gone through processing. Most of them have a lot of these micronutrients. And some of them that would be highlighted include pumpkins, bananas, carrots, vegetables, green vegetables. These ones contain a lot of iron, most of these minerals really. Water, most people might not know, but water is probably the most important for the body. It makes up 67% of our body weight. So if you went and stood on a weighing scale and you are like 70 kg, okay, so 67% of that 70 kilogram on you is water. Even the cells, most part of the cells are filled up with the water, okay? So that cannot be overemphasized in terms of the importance of water in the body, right? But also, depending on the source of water, it can contain some minerals. For example, Moyo Crystal. When you read on it, you will find a lot of things written and the values and the quantities written, how much magnesium, how much sodium, how much of this and that. Those are also minerals that we can get from such water, okay? So these, ladies and gentlemen, are a few more details regarding the diet and physical well-being. Here is a plate that tries to suggest to you how much of what you should eat for it to be called a healthy diet or a balanced diet. You know, some of us understood balanced diet to mean that today I have eaten fish, tomorrow I will eat korofo lubia, the next day I will maybe eat beans, now I am balancing my diet. No, balancing diet means on your plate, you have a little bit of each of these nutrients. That is what we say is a balanced diet. So you could eat each of these every day really, but at the what? Appropriate amounts. So you see that about 1/3 of the plate should be carbohydrates, could be rice, could be bread, and anything that is carbohydrate in nature. The other 1/3 should really be fruits and vegetables. And then if you mind about milk products, you can have 15% of it, maybe fats and other sugars if you mind, and then protein should be about that percent. So if you really don't have, for example, the milk and dairy products or a lot of sugars, you could make your plate like 1/3 is carbohydrates, 1/3 fruits and vegetables, 1/3 protein. All that might be good enough. Okay, there's no rule cast on stone that this is what it is. It's just about having a little bit of each of these different nutrients. So you will say you have a balanced diet. And with that, we really conclude physical well-being. Now, we move to emotional well-being. WHO, which is World Health Organization, has defined emotional health as a positive state of well-being, which enables an individual to be able to function. We all know that we function because of our brain, our psyche, our minds. That's what runs us. That's what drives us. That's what makes us do what we do or say what we say, right? So a positive state upstairs, I mean in the brain, will enable you to function really well in the society, and you are able to meet your demands for the day. If it is waking up, doing the house chores, maybe making tea, going to work, coming back, I don't know, preparing a meal and all this, these are daily, everyday demands of life that you do. You can only be able to function well in all these things when you have a positive state of well-being upstairs, okay? So some of the things that affect our mental health or emotional health include thoughts and feelings, right? These can affect our behavior. So if we are aware of the emotions that we have and how they really will impact us, then we are able to better respond to rather than just reacting to our daily challenges and demands. For example, if I know that I am a very emotional or short-tempered person, that understanding alone is important, because the next thing is when somebody tries to annoy me, I will understand that, hey, I'm being too emotional, or I might affect my mental well-being or emotional health. And then I'll be like, oh no, let me cool down, or let me retract a little bit. Instead of, putting out the emotion I have now, I will try to respond to the stimulus or to the thing that is challenging my mental well-being. And then I react at a later time in a more composed manner and all this. So awareness of one's emotions is really, really helpful, because you will handle challenges and demands in a more healthier way, or rather a much healthier way. Resilience is being able to cope with the daily challenges and demands and managing stress, all of them being part of the emotional well-being, okay? So something is really not well with you, but you have to also eat food. So you become resilient and you still go about preparing food until you eat it, right? So you are coping with the challenging thing that is in your mind or the demand that is stretching you, but you still manage it and you are able to get something on board, because there are other pressing needs as well. That is termed resilience, okay? And it's part of your emotional well-being. The other side is stress, okay? Much as stress is a normal part of everyday life, and it's actually necessary to a certain degree on our bodies, okay? To motivate us, to challenge us, and to make us function better. When stress becomes prolonged or chronic or constant in our lives, it becomes really a very, very serious health risk and affects our well-being. Okay, so like we said, tomorrow we will handle a little more on stress and how we could handle or manage stress. But how we manage stress starts with how we first of all take care of ourselves and reaching out for support when we need it. That is the number one thing. Identifying that I have stress now or I am stressed. Okay. Then second is identifying that I can manage it in this way, or if I'm unable to manage it in any way. Third is identifying that I can go to maybe Bida or I don't know, Mary or somebody for some kind of support that will help me deal with the stress. But we will talk a little more about stress tomorrow. So that is basically our emotional well-being, how it can be affected by our awareness, our feelings, our emotions, and how we could try to go around some of the challenges that affect it. Okay. Now, these are now the tips to handle emotional well-being challenges. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, whenever you're stressed, do you think of anybody in your mind that maybe I should just pick the phone and call so and so? Or do you have a relative you live with or nearby that you can go to and say, there is this matter that is bothering my mind, you know? Emotional stress, always bad. So if you can have people to connect with, they could be colleagues, they could be family and friends, always reach out to them and share your story. Of course, people we trust. Unfortunately, it's very difficult these days to get many people to trust. So that is one big important tip. Connect with the people who can help, who can give you the audience, who will want to listen and maybe give you guidance on how to approach it. Of course, being clear about your work role, responsibilities and capabilities. This one applies to workplaces especially, and it will help workers to avoid emotional stress at work, okay? You cannot be all over the workplace. You have to have your own roles that you are aware of and responsibilities that you know every day you go to work, these are things I do. Your capabilities have to also be understood that so-and-so is not capable of doing the next thing and therefore should be assigned to another person than assigning you something you are not capable of and, for example, giving you a deadline, right? That will really work on your emotional well-being. Asking for help when you need it, very important, especially in the workplace, as we shall see in the occupational well-being. Line managers can be very helpful, sometimes colleagues. Recognizing your signs of stress and prioritizing self-care. Avoiding the stress is also another important thing. For example, if you know, how do you get to know that you are stressed? Is it that you lack sleep, or is it that you lose appetite? Or how do you tell that you are stressed? And then you begin like, oh, I think I'm stressed by this thing. Or do you just get a headache and then you are there, or even you get fevers? So stress can present in different ways, and we must learn our bodies. We must learn to understand our bodies and be able to tell that, oh, this I think is stress. Like on Thursday evening, I concluded a 3-day training that I think I talked a lot. And I was beginning to have some headache. So with the friends, I told them, let me go and rest. And then yesterday, I told them, hey, I'm feeling so fine. So understand your body. When do you tell that your body is stressed? Okay. When you understand that a sign or symptom of stress is beginning to affect you, prioritize your self-care. Like I did, I went to rest and left my colleagues, you know. So prioritize your self-care, avoid stress as much as possible. Another tip on emotional well-being, of course, is getting plenty of sleep and allowing time to recharge and relax outside of work. It shouldn't be every day, everywhere with the colleagues, for example, and it's all work you want to talk about or do, right? The English say all work and no play has made somebody a dull boy, right? So for your own sake of emotional well-being as well, plenty rest, take time off, take your leave, rest. It's your body, recharge it. You know, you do not have a spare for that. And when it comes from upstairs, particularly, it is even worse. Okay, we continue with the more tips because this is really a very important form of well-being. Physical activity every day. You can try this tonight or this evening. Try to exercise, even if for 10 minutes or 20. Rest, take a shower. You will feel how nice your body feels after that. So physical activity every day, very important also for the mind, okay? You feel so refreshed. Of course, having hobbies and other things to pass time with are very helpful ways to relieve stress. And then, of course, learning new skills. EFSS and all our volunteers are here every 2 weeks. We are saying, please, there's a free training here for such a skill. Website design, maybe safety on the web media or website, or rather social media safety, or what do they call it? And you are not joining these opportunities when people have created for you to learn new skills. You are there stressed. That is not helpful, okay, for your well-being. Meeting new people and having new experiences, of course, if they are also good people, you will connect, you begin to make relations, and then, you know, have good stories to share, and that also takes away anything that affects the mental health. Caring for your physical well-being, of course, similar to being physically active, this will contribute to being healthy upstairs. And when you feel really healthy, you even love your body, you love yourself, you are good to go. You can say you are emotionally well. All right. From emotional well-being, we move on to occupational. As the name suggests, this is to do with the workplace, okay? How do you feel skilled enough and capable enough of fulfilling your work demands? If you are a nurse, for example, or maybe a midwife, and you are not able to put a cannula in a patient, that might mean you are not skilled enough or not capable enough of fulfilling your daily employment responsibilities, because the doctor will come and prescribe, oh, for this one, let's give injection of maybe artesunate for malaria, and you are supposed to put a cannula, right? And you can't. This will affect your occupational well-being, right? So the opportunity for learning, progression, and growth in a safe, healthy, and supportive work environment will all help you to have an occupational well-being. The same example of a nurse or a midwife failing to put, or not being able to put a cannula, and then you get maybe a good senior colleague who now begins to train you, gives you the opportunity to learn how to put the cannula, right? Then you begin to feel good, especially when that senior colleague is around. You know, you will learn a few things, your occupational well-being becomes better and improved. And also, if you have been at a certain workplace 1 year and then you do a good job and then you are being promoted, you are progressing, you are growing in the career, you also feel good. All that makes up your occupational well-being, right? So it's not just about I have the papers or I've been in class, I've studied medicine 6 years, 10 years and all that. No, it's what you find at the workplace that will impact on your occupational well-being. How can you improve that? Learn about the supports and benefits available to you. For example, you are on the wards as a nurse or midwife, you are not able to put a cannula, look around. Who can you ask to help you or learn or put it for you for that day as you learn, right? So there is always people around you at the workplace who should be able to support you and can be of benefit to you. Understand who is who in the team, and that will help you have a very good occupational well-being. Of course, if you are joining a new workplace, often there is induction days that are prepared for everyone to take you through what you expect at the workplace or who to work with. Don't ever try to dodge these things because you think you have 10 years experience in something. You never know how a certain new workplace works, how things work in the new employment place you have gone to, right? So humble yourself, attend this, understand how the dynamics of working with the team are. Of course, stretch often if you are desk-based. I mentioned this earlier, okay? Take a few minutes off, 10, 15 minutes of stretching. Then you come back at your desk. It's really not a bad thing. I don't think anybody would be fired for doing that. It's for your own occupational well-being. Of course, use of your leave days, particularly sick leave days. There are people who really, really will want to put everything on their life to the work. No, okay, it's not like that. The Ministry of Labor has not made an error in putting in the Labor Act, okay? The Labor Act for South Sudan 2017 clearly stipulates 1 day per month for sick leave. That is 12 days in a year. You can go and read it for yourself. If you don't want to take these days and the year finishes, they are gone. Nobody will compensate you for them. And yet you have had a malaria and you think you are strong, you have been going to work for those 3 days of treatment, and then one day you collapsed at work. When you are unable to continue the work, they fire you, they relieve you, and they employ another person. I keep telling people, it's not that I am encouraging laziness or I don't want staff who work hard. Working hard does not mean working when you are sick, right? Working hard means you are working and producing what is required of you within the 8 working hours that has been designed, So use your leave days, whether sick leave days or annual leave days, they are yours, okay? Coming on to social and cultural well-being. So how do you interact with the people around you? And how good are you in creating connections that support you in your daily life? If it is, for example, a new place you have gone to, you don't know where the market is, you don't even know where a grocery shop is, you begin to wonder, how do I start? You should be having that approach, the interaction, the ability to interact with the new people, especially where you even don't know the language, right? You should find a way to be able to interact with somebody, and then you get the support you need, okay? So if you're able to have or maintain social or community links of support, okay, then you are able to maintain a positive health and well-being at the same time. This could be support or links with the friends, other relations, family, colleagues, a club, or even neighbors, that you have gone to a new place and you're creating that relation, the link. If you're able to create and maintain that, you are likely to have a very good health and well-being and sense of also belonging to such a place. But if you don't have that ability, you will face it difficult, and your social and cultural well-being becomes affected, which will also trickle down to your general health not being very good. Okay, so that's what I just said, is the social well-being is impacted by your cultural well-being, okay? So when you feel that you are accepted and supported to freely express your individual differences, whether they relate to your beliefs, values, ethnicity, sexuality, spirituality, or sense of identity, then you now can be sure you have social well-being and cultural well-being. For example, things of sexuality or spirituality and so on, in this country, South Sudan, not a lot of people freely speak out on that, right? They don't feel that they will be accepted, for example, if they say something sexually that goes against what the culture says, right? And if that is the situation, then such a person might not really have social or cultural well-being. You can be sure to say that. How do you improve your social and cultural well-being? Social groups are a good way to start from, to which you belong, and you aim to forge new connections. For example, if you go to a new village or community, you don't know anybody, and maybe there is a match, let's say the Premier League matches for people who are fans of the Premier League, and then you see a fellow fan of a team that you like, then you can use that to start a conversation, use that to start a conversation, and that becomes your social grouping, for example. So engaging in social groups of different kinds really can be helpful and will make you feel that you belong there and so on, and it will help you improve your social and cultural well-being. Joining a club or group or organization or a class such as this one on weekends is another good thing you are doing for yourself by joining this training. You are building or improving your social and cultural well-being. After this call, you will know that, oh, there's a WhatsApp group for these bi-weekly calls. Can I be added? And then there you are following things. A lot of information actually is being shared there, including opportunities for many things, So you will go to that group and then you begin to feel like you belong there, So feel free to join such things and experience. Participating in staff events and activities, especially at the workplace, for people who work. Don't try to isolate yourself on such things. Have a dinner or a lunch out with your colleagues, if it is there, or things like that that staff do together, be part of them. That is how you can feel socially you are doing well. Volunteering in your local community, I talked about this earlier, very good way to improve your social and cultural well-being, because people then begin to look up to you. People will actually give you the respect. People will want to associate with you because you like to volunteer to. Of course, most times we volunteer to improve our communities. Taking up a new hobby or learning a skill that involves meeting other people, very good, okay? If you learned a new hobby or you are taking it up, for example, you want to learn to play badminton, okay? Badminton, for those who might not know, is like, I don't know how to describe it in relation to tennis. It's not as intense as tennis, but yes, similar approach. So you learn badminton is something you never heard of, or you see people play, and then you go there and you start playing. You are belonging somewhere. You are creating the social well-being that you need. Learning about and sharing with other cultures within your workplace and community. Of course, if you live in Juba, for example, so many people, your neighbors can be people from 4 or 5 different ethnicities, okay? Of course, different ethnic group, different cultures. So if you learn and you start sharing with them and understand, you begin to feel well, okay? Signing up for a personal development course, I can't overemphasize this. These bi-weekly sessions are a part of this, but of course, there's also a lot of online free courses that you can enroll to, and it will help you be able to feel well. Intellectual well-being is about getting personal and professional fulfillment. People during childhood, we all had our different thoughts of what we would become, what professionals we would become. Of course, the most common things, a teacher, maybe a policeman, a doctor, a pilot. These were the most common children will always tell you about, right? But as years went and you progressed in education, you started understanding life differently, you started seeing things differently, you end up in a very different profession than what you actually thought you wanted at childhood times. But do you feel that the profession you have now fulfills your mental and other forms of well-being? If you do feel that way, then that is what we call intellectual well-being. So getting your personal and professional fulfillment from who you have become, whether it is at work and maybe at home, you are balancing things between work and your life outside of work. This one gives you the personal and professional fulfillment. And then intellectually you say, me, I am okay. I didn't become a pilot as I thought, but what I am now, I'm fine with it. You are contented. So again, intellectual well-being is about expanding your knowledge and skills and engaging in creative and mentally stimulating activities. It's not good enough to remain, for example, the cadre you were 5 years ago and you are comfortable. You are not expanding your knowledge so much. You are not gaining skills. You are not engaging in even newer things or creative things that are mentally stimulating. You are not probably intellectually doing well as such, okay? You can always build your intellect when you are adding knowledge, skills, you are engaging, you are being creative, developing new applications, for example, those in the IT world, you feel you are intellectually growing and you're good, okay? So some tips on how to do that is access a range of online learning and professional work hubs. I mentioned this in the previous slide. You can also seek out and request opportunities to attend continuing professional development events such as masterclasses, online learning, staff upskilling, and opportunities for new work experiences. These are some ways to, there are people who have started in one workplace for over 10 years and in the same position, for example. This is not good for your intellect, okay? You are not intellectually really doing well. If that is the situation you are in, feel free to also experience life elsewhere, okay? Even if with the same pay, but most definitely or most likely with a better pay, So it's not about getting stuck. So if you do that, you will looking for opportunities for new work experience. You are going to when you join a new work environment, definitely you must become creative and you will begin to think differently than you have been in the previous work. So that could be another way to also build your intellectual well-being. And of course, some people don't take criticisms, they don't take opposing opinions. That should not be it. Receive whatever people throw at you as their own opinions or views, because that's how they look at it, not necessarily the way you look at it. And the way you look at it is not necessarily the most correct or accurate way of looking at things. And that's why I put there that it could be a 6, not a 9, or the other way, right? Depending on who is looking at something. But if you are all the time receptive, you know, you want to understand what could be the new ideas of doing what you are doing now, then you are somebody intellectually doing well, because you are receptive to new thinking, creative thinking, new skill. You want to understand new knowledge and stuff like that. So these are a few tips on how to improve your intellectual well-being. Financial well-being, very important. Recently, I think we had a session on this, and really it's about how you're aware of your money, how you manage it, how you plan them, the finances, and then balancing between what you save and what you spend. And again, the most important thing there is that should be within your means. Within your means here refers to saving, spending, okay, without causing yourself debts, all right? So if your salary, for example, is 100,000 SSP per month, you don't want to live in a house that could be like 30,000 SSP in a month, for example. That might not be some house for your means, because then 100,000 minus 30, your level is 70,000. You have 30 days to feed yourself, and you also want another small amount of it to remain as a saving. So you think around that. That is financial well-being, understanding your finances, planning it, managing it, trying to save a little bit, maybe even invest a little bit, okay? So that kind of ability to manage your finances is financial well-being. Trust me, if financially I am broke or you are broke for a long time, it starts to impact on the mental or emotional well-being, and all that will later come into the physical well-being. So this is how interconnected all these things are, okay? So what are your financial benefits at your workplace? For example, those who work, and what supports are available to you? If you fall in an emergency that needs money now, and you don't have the money at your workplace, is there a support of maybe, for example, an advance pay? Is it there? Do you know that it is there? Or is it like a loan that people give to staff? Do you know that it is there? Okay. Understanding all these supports available to you and the financial benefits and so on. If you understand that, and then you will be able to own your personal situations and what you might require to have good financial well-being. All come from how much you understand around your finances. How you can improve your financial well-being? First of all, what is entitled to you, and responsibilities that are related to finances. What are they? What is your financial entitlement? Maybe at home, in the workplace, and what are your responsibilities? Okay. What is the support around you? Understand it. Okay. Check your pay slips and any financial correspondence you receive. Okay. You need to understand that your employer is not cheating you by giving you what is not really on your pay slip. If you don't know what is on your pay slip and you are comfortable receiving what goes to your bank account or is given to you in the hand, then that is not being financially well. You are not doing well financially. Okay. Stay up to date with your tax requirements and entitlements. Familiarize yourself with your pension. The problem with the tax and its evasion is that usually when you are caught, all the taxes will be calculated backward until it becomes a problem to pay. So for those especially who either are employers or they are business people and all this, it would be very good to stay, abreast of your tax requirements and entitlements, because it will later come back to haunt you in another way. Okay. Availability of financial advice. Okay. Should you require it, there are people who tend to understand finances more than me or you. let's be willing to ask them if we are stuck. Of course, saving, but more importantly, investing is the only one sure way, especially if you invest in something that thrives, is the only one sure way you will be guaranteed of financial well-being in the future, compared to just receiving, spending, receiving, spending. Saving, yes, maybe it will help you in the immediate future if you lack money, but it's not something for the future, long term. Okay. Right. We move on to environmental well-being. Now, initially, I explained one of the concepts of well-being as something that is affecting us everyday life events or wherever we go. Okay, health. So your surroundings as well and how you interact with them impact on your health and well-being. So having a safe and healthy work environment, even where you live, is important. Okay, so you need to be aware, like where you are now attending this call or this session. What are the risks and hazards that you could face, and how do you access support where you are now? If that risk or the hazard happens, what will you do? Look at your environment. Is it a fan that is about to fall on you? Or is it like maybe electricity will catch fire and then start to burn the house? What kind of support is available around you if that risk or the hazard actually happens? Okay, this is environmental well-being. Is it a bare wire, maybe that a child will come and touch and there is power in or the electricity running through it? Or is it maybe some sharps, a broken glass, or something that is just hazardous or a risk? That is how you understand your environmental well-being. If you are sure everything is intact, nothing is bad, and you know wherever you are inside, this is how you can escape in case of anything, and this is who you can call for support if this happens, then you can say that you're environmentally doing well. Okay, that's environmental well-being. Understanding one's environment in relation to risks and hazards, and how to get support for them, for the hazard if it happens. So some tips will be to adhere to health and safety guidelines, including hygiene and infection control measures. The week before this week, last week, I think, the acting mayor for Juba was on Radio Miraya and he was being interviewed. He said shops must have rubbish bins within 72 hours. After that time, any shop found without rubbish bin will be closed and a fine will be levied. That's the safety guideline. Okay, so if somebody is not aware of it, or they are aware but they intentionally avoid it, okay, it could result in something. So adhering to health and safety guidelines, including hygiene and infection control measures, is one big and important tip for your environmental well-being. Okay, if a glass has broken now, no need to waste time. Collect the pieces in a very safe way, dispose it off where it cannot be injurious to anybody. Okay, so that's safety in regard to hygiene, infection control, and health as well. So be aware of potential risks and hazards in your work environment and minimize them for as far as possible you can. All right, again, understanding the risks. One big risk in our workplaces could be really electric fire. That is very common, especially workplaces within Juba. So understand that it can be a risk, a hazard can happen, you minimize it. Minimizing it could be making sure all wires are insulated, making sure wires do not just fly around your working place, and you are not always exposed. That is environmental well-being. Right. So we can aim to contribute to overall healthier work environment by some of these ways. For example, sustainability as an agenda item. If you have team meetings, workplace meetings, how do you want to sustain your environmental hygiene or safety? Use of reusable cups, glasses, and so on to adhere to any government ban, and so on. Disposable cups for just drinking water. So I drink water now and I just throw. it's not an environmentally safe or healthy thing to do. Instead of having maybe a rewashable glass or metallic cup that I use, somebody washes, or I even wash it, another person uses. Okay, this is how we can sustain environmental safety. Turning off non-essential equipment, lighting and appliances when not in use. Okay, you are leaving the room, you are leaving the ACs on, the fans are on, and you will come back tomorrow to office only to find fire has broken out and everything has gone wrong. If you had only pressed the switch and turned off everything, maybe the fuses would have helped to break down the circuit and things would have not happened. Okay, segregate waste into appropriate waste streams and conserve water where possible. Walk or cycle to work if possible to benefit you and the environment. Not a lot of practice among us. I can bet almost everybody just wants to take the tuk-tuk or the muasalat, and we think walking to work is a sign of poverty, unfortunately. So those are the different forms of well-being as we have seen them and how they really lead to affecting our health. And once they affect our health, of course, we will not say we are doing well, and therefore, as persons, we suffer. And that is not something we really want to go through. Up to there, let me look at the inbox before we start wellness packages. Bida, is there anything?
Yeah, I see a couple of comments in the group. There's one who said, hello, in regards to physical well-being in circumstance of gym, we always see most of the gym people deformed after consistent gymming. And I don't know what he means by deformed. I don't know, maybe it's talking about the body and stuff. And then someone saying, hello, that my question goes to physical well-being in terms of food. Many people struggle with weight management, making them going for long without food. How can you advise such people medical to have a healthy way of managing weight? Are there specific types of food to eat for managing weight? Yeah, and then those are the questions. And maybe just to give you a break so that you can take some breath or maybe catch a glass of water, we can invite a few comments. I can do that, and then while you just maybe walk around, and then we can give you just 4
it's all
minutes
right.
for that.
Yeah, how many minutes?
Okay, guys. We can give you 4 minutes for that. I see a hand from
all
Yeka.
right.
Yes, Yeka, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. Doctor, we appreciate your facilitation, and it has been new to me, for example, and I have just few concerns that I need some clarification from it. One of it is usually is it, I don't know whether I'm still treating it as a rumor, that once you have a regular sex intercourse, you are easy to contract, or you're easy for results of cancer. I don't know whether is it true. Peter, are you getting me?
Yes, I got your question. Thank you so much, Yeka. Do you have another question?
Yes, the next one is, I am digging every day, sometime from Saturday, I go for a bit 5 to 6 hours digging. Is it not enough exercise? Is it also part of exercise?
Okay.
The questions that I just need these clarifications. And then
Okay.
at the end, also let doctor be able to help us. He cited that there's online free courses. For me, I'm just learning that. I need actually to know. Then coupled to that, with this question, I'm one of the person, when you look at me physically, I am fat. And it is actually not from that I am rich, but it is our genes from our grandparents that they usually have this. So, and one time I suspend even food. Is it also a good practice, or there's another technique? Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Yeka. All your questions are noted. We have Majok. You're welcome.
Thank you, Beda, and the team, and thank you so much to our presenter, the doctor. I really learned a lot from this presentation, and there were some things that I didn't know actually. But now I can be able to implement for my own health. But I've really learned a lot from Modi. My question is that at some point, like I was thinking of maybe joining a gym, and then there is this kind of speculation that people say once you are so addicted to gyms, and then your body muscle changed, and then later during any kind of occurrence of operation or whatsoever it could be, it will not be very possible. So like it usually affects your body skins, and like a kind of operation can never work well. So like I was thinking of doing that, and I don't actually I want to know if that is true or not. Otherwise, thank you so much.
Great. That is noted. Thank you so much. We have James Ball, and then Taban Benaya. Thank you so much. James Ball, you can ask.
Yeah, thank you very much for the chance. I appreciate the trainer Dr. Raju and you, Bida, for the nice presentation. My question is about the tobacco. I mean about the smoking. You said before that smoking is one of the health hazard and one of the health is one of the things that cause like lung cancer, which is one of the most serious and deadly disease. I want to ask about the tobacco, the natural one that is actually been planted here, and then people just take it, the black one. So the other people are like, they are saying that this tobacco is not dangerous like the other one, like cigarette, because it cannot be smoked because there is no smoke. So and then sometimes when you tell them that all the tobaccos are dangerous, sometimes they may say that this it is only cigarette and this one is okay. So as a doctor, how can we convince the other people that the both smokings, cigarette and the other tobacco are of health hazard? Thank you.
Bida, is it back to me? Hello, Bida. Is it back to me?
It's like Bida have gone even.
I still see him online. Taban Benaya, can you go ahead?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I really enjoyed. As I'm working in a related field today, I've got increase my knowledge in the same field. My question goes to people who are applying crimes on their body, and I think most of them think that maybe the skin color, they are not contented with their skin color. And they end up applying, even people who are learned, even some doctors also, female doctors and male doctors are also applying. So what?
Sorry, I can't hear you, Taban. Taban has dropped, or Taban, I was not able to hear your question.
Yes. Yeah, I think I'm not out, I'm in. I think it is the network maybe disturbing. I'm saying my question goes to application of cream in the body for changing skin color. Yes. So my question is, what can we do, or what can we tell to people to understand that application of cream is also another way of damaging physical well-being?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Noted. Lastly, Leju Oliver. Leju Oliver should be the last, and then we can carry on.
Hello.
Yes, Leju.
Yeah, in the first place, I appreciate your presentation, Brother Leju. It's a nice presentation. Are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. What I just need to inquire is, most people have been saying that for you to burn fats in your body, there's some maybe like fruits like maybe a lemon and maybe drinking ginger or garlic can burn body fat. I don't know if how true or possible it is. Maybe you can clarify for me because I also need to know more about that. Otherwise, thank you. That's the only thing that I need to ask.
Thank you, Oliver. All right, Beda, it's up to me, right?
Yeah, let me just give you some of the questions that were asked while you were not there.
Let me begin with the ones I caught, and then you
Perfect,
will add on with. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
And I will begin with the last one from the June, then I go to Taban's question and Ball's questions. So, yes, there's a lot of issues around weight gain and loss. When it comes to feeding as a way to minimizing or reducing weight, I do not think I'm the rightful person to really ask, because this is more to do with the diets. We have dietitians, we have nutritionists who study diets into a deeper level than medical doctors do. And so maybe my recommendation to Beda would be, if we can find somebody who has specialized in nutrition and issues to do with the diets and would like to participate to maybe train us all, I think that would be a good session to capture if our schedules are not filled up, Beda. But
we already have a session on nutrition.
Very good. So let's all look forward to that session then, and we learn more about it. However, issues to do with the weight, of course, it's easier to gain weight than to lose it. We all know that, okay? Than to lose it is hard. I mean, it's easier to gain. Then when somebody gains weight and they want to drop the weight, there are those who decide to starve themselves, like may only eat once in the evening, but then you know they can take months over months and they still don't lose the weight actually, you know. And then you begin to wonder whether starvation for them works. There is no one single answer fits all situation here, I think, because weight loss must be a composite of many things coming together. Of course, reduction in the amount of food, like I said earlier, that the macronutrients need to be eaten in the appropriate quantities, okay? So reducing the amount of food means over time, the body will begin to go into its stores, which are the fats, and then it begins draining the fats for more energy, right? So starvation alone may not be sufficient, because if that energy that the body goes to get from the store, which is the fat, is also not really that much needed, you know, maybe the 1 meal in a day even is sufficient. So what I'm trying to refer to actually is reducing food intake without breaking what is already stored. That may not yield. Mr. Taban, you may mute. That may not yield a lot, okay? So as we reduce food intake, we need to also think of how do we break what is already stored as fat? And that is where now exercising comes in. Okay, somebody who really wants to lose weight must exercise as well as reducing fatty foods or rather high energy foods. So having a lot more of fruits and vegetables than the carbohydrates and the proteins, while also what? Actively exercising. I keep saying that there are people who keep climbing Jebel Kujuri in Juba. Okay, every Saturday they say they are trying to break weight or stay fit. Okay, maybe staying fit, maybe, but breaking weight, and then you climb, you come back there, you bathe, you are now somewhere at a pork joint with the bottles of beer and so on. In fact, the energy you put in you will be much more than the energy you spent climbing the hill and coming down. Such approach to weight loss is not helpful. Weight loss has to be structured in a way that gain of energy is reduced, but more expenditure is being incurred. That is when now the stores, which are the parts will begin to break down, and then the body becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, that's what I can really say. So in regard to which fruits, which foods, and so on, I think we will wait for the specialist to handle that for us, and maybe even at how much amounts. That might be something helpful. To the question asked by Mr. Taban on bleaching agents and what we should do, this is something more of a mindset. This one is something that I think one weekend session as this may not handle and may not resolve. It is something that needs advocacy. It's something that needs the mind of such a person to be changed to understand that what they have done is wrong, and then they will stop doing it. And then it will take another time for that body to regain its natural color, if it will ever do so completely or not. Okay, so I think that if anybody wants to be proactive to really cause awareness on bleaching, they can do it. But of course, the health risks are there. They are very well documented. Bleaching destroys the structure of the skin, the strength of the skin, and therefore the skin becomes weak and easily is hurt, easily it is injured. And when it is done so, it takes longer to heal. These are some things. And of course, some of the bleaching agents also have some content, chemical content that has been implicated in causing certain skin cancers. So those are very well documented risks and dangers of skin bleaching that we can always tell people. And of course, they will have to choose around there for themselves. The question Mr. Ball asked is between, I think what he means is the tobacco that people chew, just put under the lip there like that. And then I don't know how they really do it, whether they swallow saliva or they do what. It definitely surely doesn't have smoke, because what causes lung cancer from smoking is too much of the nicotine in the tobacco that goes into the lungs and alters the structure of the lung cells. Okay, so that nicotine goes through the smoke that people pull into the chest and push out. In the opposite of the other tobacco that people chew, since there is no such smoke, it sounds scientifically plausible, like possible that smoke, or rather that tobacco that people chew, might not be as dangerous in causing cancers of the lungs as the one smoked. That sounds possible scientifically. However, I do not have concrete facts or findings, scientific finding to clarify to you, Mr. Ball, that truly the one people chew is better than the one that is smoked. Okay, but yes, scientifically it makes a lot of sense that there's not much risk in the chewed tobacco than the smoked one, because no smoke goes into the lungs. Probably the nicotine doesn't reach there as much. So I think I've responded to the 3 questions I got. Mr. Beda, if you can take me through the ones I was away.
Okay, perfect. I don't know how your presentation is, because I see we're left with 18 minutes.
Not much. It's just about rounding up the wellness package here.
Perfect. So one question was, somebody was saying that he was told that when married people, or when you have regular sex with your girlfriend, you are likely to have high chances of getting cancer. So is that the case? And another person is saying that
as a man or as a woman?
Both.
Regular sex causing cancer?
Yeah.
Okay. The other question?
The other question was saying that you recommended 30 minutes of exercise daily, but the person was saying that he usually doesn't have time for exercise daily, but on the weekends, like Saturday or Sunday, he digs for 5 to 6 hours. Is that enough? And then another person was saying, yeah, you talked about sites for free online courses as part of intellectual well-being. Can you list some of those free sites? And then another person was saying that as method of reducing weight, is it good to suspend eating food? Because there's people who think that they are fat, so for them to reduce the fats, they should not eat food for a couple of days. Is that true? Even also the same thing with high blood pressure. I remember when I was with some Nigerian friend, so she had high blood pressure. So at some point, I don't know, she has a machine that she used for testing herself. Then at some point, she woke up one morning and said her blood pressure was really high. So she wasn't going to eat anything that for a couple of days. But and, luckily, just after a few days, I started seeing her eating again. And then
Yeah.
another thing is
No,
another was
before you
saying
proceed,
that,
before you proceed, I think let me quickly just respond to some of them
okay.
before I forget them. The one on which foods to reduce, or rather to starve to reduce weight, I think I've responded to that exhaustively. Regarding sex, regular sex or too much sex, I don't know, causing cancers. There is no documentation of that. I really don't think it causes it. So that should not be an issue. Maybe if it is with the too many different partners, of course, in terms of women, then they increase the risk for cervical cancer, especially if there are too many male partners they have sex with and the men may not be circumcised. Such men tend to put women at risk of cervical cancer. But one man with their one girlfriend or wife having regular sex, I don't think that there is a risk of cancers from there. I've not come across that. What was the other question on there were 3 questions you had read, Bida.
So the other question was the free sites for online courses, and the other one was whether it was good to suspend food as part of weight reduction mechanism.
Yeah, so that one I said I responded. So the free websites, I think you and I, Bida, can maybe work on that and put them together. I don't know if the person asking the question is in the WhatsApp group. Really, there's a lot we share there, right? Especially you, Bida, that people should really make use of and learn a lot. But yeah, we do have things. One common one is called Disaster Ready. Disaster Ready tends to give you a lot of different courses online for a few months and so on. You can get certificates from there. It's a free website for learning. Okay. Is there more left, Bida?
Yeah, there are only 2 left. I think we have answered the other one, the one for black tobacco. So there's one only left. That that he's told
okay,
that.
Can you ask?
Yeah, that
yeah.
The last one is saying that he was told that when he goes to the gym, so it causes gym addiction, and the gym addiction causes some sort of change in the body muscles, which may have
I
implications.
remember that. So yes, so that's why people who go to the gym, they tend to have bigger muscle mass than the rest of us who don't go to the gym that often. Okay, that is why it is a bodybuilding thing. I saw in the chat box somebody responding that such people often use steroids. So steroids are other form of substance that can cause enlargement of body mass or muscles, okay, or the actual muscles can happen. But some of these people who do those things are those sportsmen and women athletes, like those who do WrestleMania and so on. I do believe that those people sometimes inject themselves, although also they might be screened for them. I don't know how they can do that without being caught. But yes, regular gymming will always cause a change in the muscle mass, and that is what burns the fat and reduces the fat, and then instead it replaces it with the muscle, and somebody begins to look muscular and all that. I don't know if that's what somebody referred to as being deformed, but there's no deformation as in bending of bones or things like that. I really don't think it ever happens. So if we have answered all questions, Bida, if there's more, maybe we'll follow up in the WhatsApp group for those who are there.
Please proceed. There are no more questions.
Yeah, let me quickly run through the wellness packages. One question in the knowledge check was about the wellness. These are activities that help us know if we are at risk of diseases or we have risk factors for chronic diseases, okay? And so we will be able to learn how to prevent these diseases. If the risk is identified early, somebody will always be advised on how to avoid this risk or avoid getting the disease. Okay, so these are what we call wellness packages. These are meant for people who actually feel well. They say they are well, no headache, no nothing, but you just go to a health facility and say, please, can I screen my body for this kind of risk or whatever, or diseases, okay? So they can include things like lifestyle modification, routine medical checkups, that will be able to determine a disease early. These are the things we call wellness packages. So here we are looking at all adults of different ages, all ages. As long as you're an adult, all these things should be done to you. If you are above 40 years, okay, you have to do this every 1 to 2 years. But if you are below 40, you can take 2 to 5 years to have these tests done. How do you breathe in a minute? How many times do you breathe? What about your heart? How many times does it beat in a minute? This is heart rate. Of course, the blood pressure, and then your body mass in terms of your height. These are things for those who are under 40 years, you can do it every 2 to 5 years, try to understand where you are, because they tend to indicate risks of certain diseases, especially the body mass index, okay? People can do general physical checkup by a trained personnel. They can do eye check for vision issues, whether you are still seeing well. We use a lot of computers these days, both at work and other businesses that we carry on with. It would be good to check your ability to see clearly. Of course, CBC is complete blood count, can tell you which type of blood lines or blood cells are more than which when you feel well, and can indicate even certain cancers can be diagnosed through this simple test. Sugar profile, of course, is you walk to any facility anytime and say, please check my sugar. That's why we call it random blood sugar. Assuming that you had eaten only breakfast in the morning and it is coming to 3 p.m. and your sugar is so high, they will tell you, your sugar now, random sugar is higher than the normal. That can indicate that you might be tending towards diabetes. There are also things to do with the fat profile, functioning of our different organs like kidneys and the liver. And then we can always do urine tests to tell whether we have any infections in urinary tract or even the kidneys themselves, okay? Of course, there are other infections like hepatitis, syphilis. They can be very common. For hepatitis, can be silent for some time before it appears. And once it appears, most times it is already bad stage. And so we need to screen ourselves for such things as often as we can. At much older ages, for all of us, males and females 40 and above, we now want to look more at some hormones that are to do with the thyroid. If you remember, there's a gland somewhere in the neck here called thyroid gland. It produces hormones. And some of those hormones, when they are higher than normal, can indicate certain disease process that is going on. Cancer markers can be helpful in early diagnosis of cancers of the intestines, liver, and even other abdominal organs. Stool with the blood may not be easy to see, but also it can be a sign that something wrong is happening in our intestines, such as cancers can be diagnosed, okay? I would not recommend chest x-rays just for the sake of it, but ultrasound can be a good test because it's not that bad in terms of causing cancers or things. So abdominal ultrasound here and there once in a while to look at your internal organs may be also helpful. So you can do that every 1 to 2 years, let them check you up. Now, for women who are 21 years to 30, every 3 to 5 years, they should do cancer for the cervix, screening of cancer for the cervix. If they are now above 30 years, the frequency should be more, like 1 to 2 years, they should do cancer of the cervix screening. And for all women in reproductive age, there is this what we call breast self-exam. It's good to do it every month, a few days after the periods. It can help them to feel abnormal swellings in the breast, which might be an early sign of breast cancer. The earlier such is diagnosed, the better the outcome of treatment, okay? For men who are 50 and above, every 1 to 2 years, there is something we call prostate surface antigen, and it's a marker for prostate cancer. It can be tested as well. HIV counseling and testing, all sexually active people especially should be screened for this, depending on the level of risk, maybe every 3 months, every once a year, and so on, okay? Let's also mind of our mental health. Even if we feel or think we are fine, it might be helpful to look at, to meet a psychiatrist and say, please, can you check me for basic things? and then they will be able to help us know if we are well or not. This is a picture of a package from one clinic in town in Juba called EB Clinic, as you see here. So they have these wellness packages for different age groups, 18 to 30 can be done every 3 to 5 years, 31 to 40 every 2 to 3 years. So if you have money and you want to know whether you are healthy or not, you could walk in there and ask for any of these packages depending on your age, and then they might be able to offer you what you need to be screened for. This is not an advertisement, but it's just something I'm trying to share with you, that such a package kind of approach to wellness exists in town, especially for those who are in Juba. So it might be a good thing to look up to and also know your status of health. That was it. Bida, this is our last slide, basically. For those who might want to read more, I have a few more other resources that I will share along with the slides. Let me leave this open for any questions or comments that could have not been said or addressed in the break we had. Thank you, Bida, over to you. Bida, are you in the call?
Yes, I am.
Well,
good.
It's over to you.
Vida is doing something different. We just catch up. You have not answered one of my questions that I don't go and do gymnastics or running around or skipping.
Oh, yeah.
I just have time to dig. Is it a part of this exercise or is it enough?
This one of digging 5 hours.
5 hours to 6 years.
Yeah.
See, the problem is when certain physical activities become part of the routine, the body now adjusts to them. And when the body adjusts to them with the weight that it has, it no longer will affect weight loss or gain. You get it? Just like if I walk to work every day, 20 minutes, I cannot now take that as my exercise because over time, my body adapts to it. And I have my other sources of energy that I keep putting more energy in me. And these 20 minutes becomes much less to burn the energy. So that's where the difference comes in. You might think that 5 hours on one day in a Saturday or weekend will cater for the 3 hours in the week. But when the body adapts to it and also throughout the week, you are adding more energy than you could spend in the 5 hours, still the imbalance remains. And that's why it is important that the exercising is rigorous and it is structured that way. 30 minutes every day, that excludes routine things you do in the day. And maybe 3 hours of 1 hour per day, 3 days in a week. Also excluding routines that you do in the day. I don't know if I've answered you, Mr. Eka.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I'm going to practice. Yes. I'm going to practice.
Yes. Yes, I have addition on that to Yeka.
Yes,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think what Dr. Lejua said before is all about the quantity of energy put in and then the quantity of energy spent. So some people, you may go to the garden and then madam will prepare a lot of carbohydrate, maybe forage is here, tea is here, the forage made with a lot of milk, and then there is a lot of creamer from here. So you end up eating over what the body has spent. So also you need to put focus on carbohydrates food. When you do the digging as part of the exercise, and then you should know what to eat actually, so that the amount of energy spent is more than the amount of energy the body puts into the stock. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hello everyone. How are you guys doing?
Hello. Is this Rachel?
Hi.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's me, Rochelle. I came in late, but I really got much more of the concepts, and I'm so excited about it. So I'm Rochelle Hakim. For those who don't know me, there's something that I would really love to share. A quick note. As you know, in South Sudan, we have lack of information, especially when it comes to women and girls' health. And for this, I have a new project online called Kahai, a digital health application for women and girls in South Sudan. And I would truly love, sir, if you will be possibly part of it to educate women, because we have sector for mentors and also professionals and also hospitals that can easily be detected for women to go to the right spot for them to come in. I don't know if it's a very good platform for me to share this idea, but I feel it's very important for the information not to be only kept for me, but also for someone interested in how further visits through that.
Rachel, sorry, I wasn't clearly understanding you or hearing you. Maybe be that if you got her clearly, you can respond.
Yeah, Rachel, that's good, and and thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, what you can do is, are you in the WhatsApp group?
Nope, I'm not.
Okay, you can check the email that we sent with the Zoom joining info. There's a group there. So what you can do is you can share your details, and probably the target audience can get to understand the platform and also get to ask you any questions that they may have. So just check the email. Otherwise, well done.
All right, then. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you, everybody. Bida, we are on the dot.